Dracula the book. This is actually a much more interesting book than you would think when you just watch the movies. There have been hundreds of movies, like hundreds, really hundreds. I think Dracula as a character is actually the most filmed character ever. But none of these films, in my opinion, actually show what the book is talking about. Of course, there's vampires. I mean, they got the basics out, the vampires, the castle, blood and gore. It's in the book, sure, but I don't think that's what the book's about. If you read the book is a found document book. All these letters, memos, recipes, telegrams, newspaper cuttings, diary entries. I think it's very clever. An epistolary novel is by its nature slow. You read what people write, you read what people think, but there isn't a narrator. So A writes to B, and you have to read the letter, and then B writes to A, and then you have the letter. And Dracula may actually cost you a little bit more brain power because you are more of a detective in Dracula. There will be like newspaper clippings. You have no idea what that's all about. It comes together later on, or there is a reason for this newspaper cutting, or this newspaper cutting is a completely different view on, or an explanation on something that happens in the book. So the book takes a little bit more time to get where it wants to be, and also it literally starts off very slowly and chattily, like talking about the landscape and the people, how picturesque they are. We're talking about an English tourist. And yeah, he wants to write all this down for his wife. And then the action starts, and the action moments are actually really good in the book. They're really hair-raising. Unfortunately, spoiler. I can't say, ooh, spoiler alert, because we all know where this is going to end. So in these letters you slowly get a grip. We already know everything, but okay, you slowly get to figure out what's going to happen. And then there are really two people that bind everything together, and they're both women. It's first Lucy. Lucy, who is young, naive, innocent, and very, very sweet. Lovely girl. Much more interesting, in my opinion, is Mina, who is super intelligent, is making her own life in a world. She has a lot of insight, she has a lot of knowledge, and she's also very loving. These two women are the glue that hold everything together. So Jonathan travels, spoiler alert, Jonathan travels to Transylvania. For business, he is a solicitor, and he sold his house Carfax to this Transylvanian Count Dracula. Dracula has written several letters in the book, but there's one that's actually mixed in with the papers, and that's a letter to Jonathan when he arrives. Welcome to the Carpathians, my friend. Yours, Dracula. He meets up with Dracula, is basically imprisoned for a month. Dracula uses this time to get his plan that he's been working on for years, going to go to London with its teeming full-blooded millions. And Jonathan escapes. And around this time we get other letters. We get letters from Mina to Lucy, from Lucy to Mina. We learn about people, we learn about their thoughts, but also we learn about their lives. And then Lucy has 3 suitors. They all propose to her on the same day. It's a bit of a coincidence. The one she wants proposes last. Lord Godalming, who she chooses, Quincy, American, and Dr. Seward. Dr. Seward is often sort of looked at as an older man, but he isn't. It's clear from the book. They're 3 young, strapping lads, and they have been on adventures. There could actually be like a whole book series of the adventures of Dr. Seward, Quincy, and Lord Godalming, or Arthur. They've been places. They've had adventures. These guys have traveled in unknown lands. They're pretty tough guys. They are resilient. They can handle weapons. They're not afraid of things very easily. And by the way, considering all the things Jonathan does, although we don't get like a prehistory for him, I mean, he climbs a frigging wall. Okay, it's an old castle and there's handholds, but you know, I would be in that ravine before you could say, oh. And Jonathan just climbs that up and down a couple of times. So he must have done rowing or something. Mina, at the time of writing, is a teacher at a school, but we find out from the letters she has spent a lot of time with Lucy. Anyway, they're very, very close friends. So here we have Lucy, 3 suitors, and Mina, very good friends. And then Mina is engaged to Jonathan. So she eventually gets all the information that Jonathan has written down. Now Lucy is Dracula's first victim. She's turned And that pisses off a lot of people. By that time, Dr. Seward has called on his old mentor, Dr. Van Helsing, from the Netherlands. They failed to rescue Lucy, and that has made them very annoyed. But it's Mina who actually sees the connection, and that happens twice. She's the one who sees the connection. And then they band around Mina. Everybody confides in Mina, and then again she sees the importance and the connection of everything that everybody feels of notices, how that all matches together like a puzzle, and it all should be shared. So now we have a band of people who are very close together. And Van Helsing is a lonely man, and in the short time he is in England and he deals with the three guys and Lucy, he finds great friendship in them, and he gets very attached to them. He sees them as family, if not almost sons, the boys. They all band together, with Mina in the middle as the one who connects them all, and of course their loss of Lucy. And so they really work together. They brainstorm. They all have their own unique capabilities, and they use them. They also use everything modern technology has to offer them. Now we're talking the end of the 19th century. There were inventions that were really new, at least new in as far that they were usable. Like there have been trains for a couple of decades, but the fact that you can move very quickly to all different parts in England and Europe by train, that is new. Even Mina's typewriter and her use of carbonized paper so she can make copies for everybody by typing once. She's got 3 copies so they can share it, because they share everything. All these sort of things they use against Dracula, who is like the dark evil, very old. He's got magic. There's not a lot of magic in the book, but there's definitely some magic in the book that they find it very hard to get their heads around, some of them, but they have no choice. Old, magic, cold, and superbly egotistical. This is not the sexy Frank Langella. This guy is a complete jerk. He stinks. He is only out for what's good for himself and has no problems murdering people left and right and causing pain and misery and heartbreak. And against that is the allies. This group of friends. They have the upper hand a little bit until the moment when they decide to cut Mina out. Now it's a man's work, we can't have the little woman to worry about, so they completely cut her off and put her in a room somewhere, and that's where it all goes wrong. And then Dracula, clever enough, says, oh, that's how I can hurt you. He's not in love with Mina. This is a movie thing. He didn't see her portrait and think, oh, she's just like my wife. No, that doesn't happen. There is no heart in Dracula. It's pure egotism. And he's mean. So he says, I can hurt you through Mina. And that's when he bites Mina and lets her drink his blood. And then he gets some magical connection with her that he uses. But the group of friends now sees that they made a mistake breaking up. They have to completely band together. Mina even tells them that. They have to band back together. Now they can use this connection to their advantage too. And then the race is on. They split up, but only because they want to cover all possibilities, because they're not quite sure which route Dracula is going to take and who's going to get there first. Van Helsing and Mina get first at the site of Castle Dracula, and Van Helsing goes into the castle and kills the 3 women, the brides of Dracula, which is something that you never see in the movies. It's disgusting, gruesome work. Even Van Helsing says he could not have done it if he didn't see, spoiler warning, just before the dissolution, there was a look of peace and happiness on the women's faces just before they completely fell apart, because they're a couple of 100 years old. And it seems to me that once the vampire is killed, and the vampire is something that lives inside a dead body, makes it an undead body, and it's obvious that the soul, the personality, the person who was being murdered and whose body is now being abused is locked in there and does not move on to whatever. And that is actually written in a book, and I think that is beautiful, and I thought that would be beautiful in a movie if they would show that, but they never do, which is why the book is better than the movies. And then the rest comes, and Dracula comes, and everybody converges just at the same spot, and Dracula is killed, and spoiler alert, Quincy dies. Unfortunately, because Quincy's my favorite of all the blokes in the book. I think I like Quincy the best. Unfortunately, he doesn't make it. And then there's a little afterward, how, like, what, 10 years later or so, they all come together and realize that all they have is descriptions and no real proof of what really happened. But of course, they lived it, they know it happened, and everybody's happy. And I think Van Helsing's still alive. Everybody's happy. So that's the book. Now, if you can handle all the spoilers, go and read it, because it is a lot of fun, and you don't get that from the movie. You get so much more from the book than you get from the movies. Just go and read it.